Hello everyone, back tuning into today's first video. We're going to have a look at the ECM 30-day model for today's first video. So we're going to look at the temperature and precipitation anomalies for the UK and for the rest of Europe as well for the next 4 weeks. That will take us into the beginning of November, can you believe? So we'll see what the ECM is forecasting for the next 4 weeks for you very shortly. We can't show you mean sea level pressure or 500 millibar heights with this, but you can get a rough idea of what the pattern would be from the temperature and precipitation anomalies. So that's what we're doing for today's first video. The second video coming up later on this afternoon on the homepage at gazweathervids.com. We'll be having a look at the weather for the next week to 10 days and beyond, including all of the usual features. We're at the Hungarian Met Office for this, so a big thank you to them for supplying the charts. So this is the week 1 temperature anomaly. It's week 41 for the year, but it's week 1 for our forecast period, and it's taking us from the 7th to the 13th of October. So this week looks pretty chilly up across Scandinavia, below average temperatures covering many parts of Scandinavia and going back into western parts of Russia as well. Eastern Europe looking close to, or possibly a little bit cooler than average really, from Poland eastwards over towards the Black Sea, although down in the southeastern corner it's a little bit warmer there. Particularly through Greece. It's really in the west of Europe though, but it's a lot milder. So from Germany back into the Low Countries, through France and into the UK, generally temperatures are a little bit above average, although Scotland and Ireland are close to average there. And then down across Spain and Portugal, it's pretty hot down there actually, with temperature anomalies between 3 and 6 degrees above average. So hot down across Spain and Portugal still, and generally warm on the western side of Europe, cooler, colder even in the north and the northeast of Europe. Precipitation-wise, a proper north-south split. So southern parts of Europe, from the south of Spain and the Alps and over to the Balkans southwards, it's much drier than average. So most parts of the Mediterranean are looking dry here, dry across Spain and Portugal, dry through the central basin of the Mediterranean. So not too bad at all if you want a bit of late summer or early autumn sunshine. That's a place to go down into the Med, looking dry and warm down there. Italy also largely drier than average. And many parts of this southeastern corner dry on average too, although down into the Greek islands it's a bit wetter than average. Further north though, it's a wet scene for many of these northern and western parts of Europe, significantly above average rainfall, looking quite wet here for Ireland, for the UK, wetter than average for northern France and the Low Countries of Germany as well. Denmark also coming out wet than average, southern parts of Norway and Sweden with above average rainfall, although northern parts of Norway it is drier than average there. And then over onto the eastern side of Europe, again it's north-south split in evidence, so northeastern parts of Europe, around the Baltic Sea into west of Russia, wet than average down there. Going further southwards though, it's drier than average. Moving on to week 2, which is going to take us from the 14th to the 20th of October, week 42 for the year, week 2 for our forecast period. It is a warm scene actually across most parts of Europe. It's just in this extreme northwest corner here across northern and western parts of Scandinavia and also into Scotland and Ireland that temperatures are sort of average to possibly a little bit on the cooler than average side, but everywhere else across Europe much warmer than average, especially so through this central and eastern part. Becoming really warm there through this middle part of October, with temperature anomalies around 3 to 6 degrees above average, and more widely across most parts of Europe the temperature anomaly is 2 to 3 degrees or 1 to 3 degrees I should say, above average for the UK. So it's close to average in the north, a little bit above average in the south. We're actually one of the cooler areas in Europe in this week. Most other places are going to be having a warmer than average week, again particularly from sort of eastern parts of Germany right way over to the west of Russia. That's where the warmest anomalies to average are. The Mediterranean again looking above average with temperatures down there. And it's also another very unsettled week as well for many northern and western parts of Europe. So France, Ireland, UK, many parts of the Low Countries over to Denmark, and then up to the southern Scandinavian peninsula. Generally, all those areas are wetter than average, and quite significantly and substantially so through this week from the 14th to 20th of October. Down through the Med, again, we're talking about drier than average conditions here. So another nice week, I think, to go down to the Med if you want a bit of autumn sunshine. Further north, though, it does look like it's another wet and windy week coming up, with low pressure dominating from off the Atlantic in many of those northwestern parts of Europe. Eastern parts of Europe are generally looking drier than average, away from that northeast corner anyway. Into week 3, which is week 43 for the year. Week 3 for our forecast period takes us from the 21st, 27th of October. Temperature anomalies are still substantially above average, so this is a warm October coming up through most parts of Europe, with no doubt a very Atlantic-driven weather. So again, from this southwestern corner down here, across Spain and Portugal, right way up to the northeast corner, up towards west of Russia, temperatures are widely, again, 1 to 3 degrees above average. Most of the Med is warmer than average too. Once again, we see that it's just really Scandinavia, away from Denmark anyway, that's close to or possibly a bit cooler than average. And the UK, Ireland, we're a little bit above average, but we are sort of closer to average compared to most parts of Europe. So we're one of the cooler places in Europe in this week 3 period. But most places, again, looking substantially above average with temperatures. Losing the precipitation signal a little bit, but it does, as we usually do in week 3 and 4, but it does still look rather wetter than average here across northwestern parts of Europe. So I think the broad sort of pattern is still continuing, really, even into the second half of the month, with low pressure continuing to bring above average rainfall to Scandinavia, to Ireland, to the UK as well. Otherwise, the signal is definitely weakening. Southeastern parts of Europe and down into the eastern Mediterranean. Bit drier than average there. Otherwise, very weak signals, really, as we often find with precipitation in weeks 3 and 4. And then finally we get through to the 4th week for our forecast period. It's week 44 for this year, and now the temperature anomalies also weakening substantially. We find that western parts of Russia and down to the Black Sea have above average temperatures. It's still rather above average down through the Mediterranean as well, with the temperature anomaly. Otherwise, there's just lots of white, and that is no signal, really. It was average or no signal, but I suspect by week 4, it's probably mostly the fact that the mole hasn't got a signal because it's too far out. This is going to be taking us from the 28th of October to the 3rd of November, by the way. Precipitation-wise, once again, weak signals, as is often the case in week 4. We do see that it is going a little bit drier, though, across some of these northern and northwestern parts. So maybe there's a bit of a change here starting to take place right at the very end of the month into the beginning of November. Possibly, just possibly, signs of a little bit of high pressure starting to settle things down. And possibly, of course, because it's going into November, if high pressure does form, possibly that could start to bring something a little bit colder with it as well, perhaps, if the skies are clear by night in particular, could get frost and fog. So maybe hints of a bit of a change right at the very closing days of October into the beginning of November, possibly just something a little bit drier and colder, where it has been generally quite wet and mild up to this point. But really, it's a very weak signal. There's not enough there, I don't think, to be able to give much of a forecast for by the time we get through to the beginning of November. No doubt things will look a little bit more clearer for that next week. So this is looking like a mild but wet October through many northern, central and western parts of Europe. We are going to see above average temperatures, but we're also going to have a very active spell of weather, with low pressure being brought in from off the Atlantic Ocean, bringing regular bouts of wind and rain. Of course, the UK and Ireland will be right in the firing line for that, sitting as we do right on the edge of Europe and right next to the Atlantic Ocean. So we'll get all of this wind and rain before anyone else. It looks okay down through the Med though. If you want a bit of late summer sunshine, that's the place to go. Go to Spain, go to the Balearic Islands in the central Med. Going to be pretty decent there, certainly for the next couple of weeks. And as we get through to the beginning of November, possibly just hints of a bit of a change, something a bit drier, and potentially perhaps a little bit cooler as well. Right, so that's it for your ECMDF 30-day look ahead today. Remember, it's just a snapshot of what Molly showed. Could all look very different next week. So this is just a snapshot of how the model is seeing things progressing today. We'll be back later on with your week's 10-day video update, including all of the usual features. So come back for that then. But that's all for now, and thanks for watching.